Are you looking for new ideas for your digital ministry? Well, this is the video for you because that's exactly what we're going to talk about right now. I'm Reverend Jim Keat, the digital minister at the Riverside Church and the director of online innovation at Convergence. And today we are going to talk about 22 digital ministry ideas to try in 2022, because that's what year it is, right? We all know how that works. So we're going to dive in. There's a lot we're going to cover. These are going to go from kind of some higher thinking, big picture, but still all of them very practical, tactical tips, ideas, things that you could literally start doing today. You should do these today. Now, there's a lot, 22, so we're going to kind of move boom, boom, boom through them all. I'll make future videos where I go in depth on some of the specifics of how to, implement some of these ideas. And if there's specific ideas you want really more tutorials on, leave a comment below. Also, leave a comment with how many of these you plan on doing or how many of them you already do. Okay, enough chit chat. Let's dive in. Here we go. Idea number 1 is this: be you, not someone else. Simple, right? Be you, not someone else. What I mean by this is authenticity is always more important than production value. Yeah, having nice cameras with a good bokeh lens and nice lighting and a good microphone, that stuff's important, but that's not what's essential. You being you, your authentic self showing up on camera. For me, that's a lot of moving of my hands and wiggling back and forth and talking very fast. Sorry, Mom. That's who I am. I'm being authentically me. I'm not trying to, and now I will make a presentation about digital. No, be authentic. So the same goes for you. In everything you do in digital ministry, all the copy you write for social media, tweets, Facebook, the videos you make, the graphics you design, be authentic to you and to your community. Represent your faith community, your church. Authenticity. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Be you, not someone else. Number 2. Sample everything, but don't try to eat it all. Okay, yeah, I'm having fun with that title, and I'm thinking back to when I was a 12-year-old boy going to Old Country Buffet, and I would literally try to eat it all. No. When it comes to digital ministry, sample everything. What I mean by that is, as you see new digital ministry things arriving, new online platforms and, gizmos and gadgets, look into it, sample it, get a sense for what is it, but don't try to eat it all. If you try to do everything, you're going to end up doing a whole lot of nothing. That's always been true, but especially in 2022, when we are now 2 years into pandemic life, where we're already overwhelmed and exhausted from just the world, and then the rising expectations of digital ministry, hybrid ministry, in-person ministry. So sample everything, get a sense of what's there, but don't try to do it all. Do the ones that are most intentional for you and the work you're called to do, which brings us to number 3. Dun, 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 dun. Be intentional about the social networks you invest in. Now, what I mean by this is the relationships are more important than the content. The purpose of all of this digital ministry stuff, of making things for the internet, of posting things, of recording things, it's not about the content, it's about the relationships that can happen along the way. I like to think of it like, where's it at? Oh, there it is. A little campfire. The content is the campfire that people can gather around to have those meaningful connections. So yeah, be intentional. Which social networks are you investing your time in? Because you can't do them all. You need to do the ones that A, serve your community that you're called to lead, or B, serve the calling you have in the wider world. That probably means Facebook is where a good number of your congregants are. So your church's Facebook page should maybe be a priority. Twitter is where public conversations are happening. It might not be where all of your congregants are. They're not live tweeting your sermon yet. But if you want to take part in a larger public conversation and discourse, that might be the place for you. This is just a way of thinking. Do some ethnographic, study of who is in your congregation and what platforms and spaces are they using, and then show up where they are. And then be intentional about broadening that reach to go to new places, to reach new people with the work that you're called to do. So that's number what? Number 3? Yeah, be intentional about the social networks you invest in. Okay, number 4. Download TikTok, search ProgressiveClergy, and swipe and tap for a week. Okay, let me unpack this. I just told you to be intentional about the social networks and stuff you invest in, and now I'm telling you to use a specific one. Yeah, because you should. TikTok, it's not going away. It's made a decent dent on culture. I'd say it's where a lot of the memes are being created that we now see distributed throughout various corners of the internet. And TikTok, I'm a slight late adopter to this. I have some good colleagues and friends who were much quicker to recognize the connections that can be made through this silly little dance app. But I'm all in, and I'm seeing the value it has. And what I mean is, TikTok is currently, I would say, has the greatest organic distribution mechanism of any online platform. Meaning you can, post a video on TikTok and it will reach potentially thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people that you never knew would want to connect with what you are offering. So here what I'm actually asking you to do here is just download the app. Search for Progressive Clergy. That's a hashtag. You'll go to the Discover section. We'll do a video on TikTok later. And you're just going to swipe and tap. You're just going to, swipe, swipe, swipe. And by tap, I mean you're going to pick which ones you like. And just double tap on the ones you like. Swipe, tap, that kind of a thing. And by doing that, TikTok's algorithm is going to continue to give you content that connects with what you're engaging in. This is the power of TikTok. It has probably the best algorithm, which is a scary thing. It will find more content based on other content you like. That's what algorithms do. And it lets you see what's out there in such a broad way. So this tip is to simply download the app and play around with it for a week. This is a good example of sampling everything, right? I'm not telling you to order the whole 4-course meal. 4-course, 5-course, how many courses are in fancy meals? I don't know. All I'm telling you to do is sample the thing and see what happens. But then, number 5, make a video on TikTok. Yes, make a video on TikTok. No, I didn't say post a video, upload a video. You can upload videos you've made elsewhere. That's a whole other thing. Make a video on TikTok. You've just spent a week sampling this new little hors d'oeuvre. Now you're going to try to make your own based on what you've seen, how you've seen people use it. Try something original. Make your own thing. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's going to be based on what you were just engaging with, and see what happens. This is still part of sampling. Now you're sampling the other side of the process. Just make something, just once, just one little video, and then see what happens, over the next few days. Cool? Yeah, you should definitely try this in 2022. All right, next one. Number 6, upload a sermon video to YouTube and focus on the title and description. Now, a couple things. First, I say YouTube over any other online video platform because YouTube is the second most viewed website in the world, I think is the stat that still is true, and the second most used search engine in the world. Meaning people are going to this site all the time and they're searching for things on this site. They are typing in, how to, I don't know. My friend Dave says that on YouTube people will be searching for things like how to fix my car and how to fix my marriage. Chances are you might have a sermon that will relate to at least one of those, maybe both, that'd be cool. But the point of this is when you put your content on YouTube, you're putting your content in a place where people have the opportunity to discover it. If you put it on Vimeo, you're kind of waiting for people to come to you. That's like saying the church is a building and everyone should come to us. No, the church is the people and we should go to where other people are. People are on YouTube, so go to where the people are. Put your content where the people are. So that's why YouTube is the platform you should be utilizing, and focus on your title and your description. I say that because these are two very important pieces when you are posting a video. You don't want to just put sermon from January 23rd. No. And then in the description, you don't want to just put preacher, whatever her name is, whatever kind of a thing you'd put. You want to be intentional because the words you put in the title and in the description, that's what's going to be picked up by that search algorithm. When people are searching for how to fix my car and you have a sermon called how to fix your car and your marriage at the same time, that's going to have a greater chance of popping up for someone's search results. So be intentional about what you're calling it. Think through what might someone be searching for and how can my title potentially pick up on those search terms. And then your description is where you can get a whole lot longer. There's a character limit, but I've never reached it. It's pretty long. And you can really be robust in your description, and all of the copy in your description gets picked up in that search algorithm as well. All right, that was a bit technical, but sometimes technical is good, right? So there you go. That's a good tip that you should definitely be doing. And let's take a look at the next one. Number 7. Create a custom thumbnail for your YouTube video. Oh, you just uploaded your sermon video. You gave it a great title and description. Thumbnails. Now, by default, YouTube will give you a default thumbnail. You can usually choose from 3 different kind of instances of your video that it pulls automatically. You might be like this, or this, or this. I don't know. It's just going to grab random still frames. Maybe they're not random. I don't know how smart those robots are. They're pretty smart. But a custom thumbnail allows you to design something that will catch someone's eye. Now, I know I said that title and description are important in your YouTube video. They very much are. The thumbnail might be the most important, because the description and the title, I have to read that. But the thumbnail, when I'm just scrolling, where's my phone? When I'm just scrolling through YouTube, that's the thing that's going to catch my eye and draw me in. The thumbnail then takes me to the title, which makes me click on it and give you my attention. So be intentional about that thumbnail. Now, confession, I don't always make custom thumbnails for all the videos at Riverside. I don't have time for that, but I do on intentional videos. The ones that I think, okay, this one, I want to give it a little more, oomph to what I'm trying to put into the world. And I think it's something you should definitely try in 2022. Make a custom thumbnail for your YouTube video. Now, number 8, you might be asking, how do I do that? Try Canva. It's free. Canva is an online design app, graphic design app. It can do a whole lot. It's really great. There's a great podcast called How I Built This that has an interview with the founder of Canva on how they started the whole company. That's really cool too. But Canva, go to canva.com. You can create a free account and have access to a whole lot of their tools. Not all of them. There are pro tools. We'll get in that in a second. But the free version, it still can do a whole lot. There's even a whole section on YouTube thumbnails. You just click it. It'll give you a bunch of templates, and you can change some things and have a pretty decent custom YouTube thumbnail that you've just designed right there on your computer or your phone. There's even an app on your phone. It's pretty great. So you should definitely try Canva. It's free. Now, number 9, apply for the nonprofit Canva Pro discount. Okay. So the free version of Canva can do a lot. The pro version, it's pretty robust. Let me just say, I have Photoshop on my laptop, but I find myself using Canva more than Photoshop these days, just for these quick and easy little things I need to make for Riverside. Even all of the slides you've been seeing here, I made them all in Canva. All those animations, all that was built right into the thing on the computer site program, internet. So apply for the nonprofit discount. Now, what I mean by this is they have a thing on their website where if you are a nonprofit, which if you're a pastor at a church or a faith leader, you should be, you can apply for their nonprofit discount, which gives you 10 free licenses for Canva Pro. Yeah, 10 free. Otherwise, it would normally cost like, I don't know, $7 each a month, a year. There's a cost involved. It adds up, but the nonprofit discount just gives it away. Now you have to fill out a form and attach some paperwork like your nonprofit verification status and all that, but it's pretty painless, and sometimes it doesn't get accepted. I've heard people that have a problem with it. Sometimes it does. We got ours accepted pretty quick, and it's great. So our whole team has Canva Pro accounts, and we can make spiffy stuff, and we don't use Photoshop anymore. So just Google Canva nonprofit, and you'll find it. Or maybe I'll put a link in the doobly-doo. But there you go. Apply for the nonprofit Canva Pro discount. Number 10, double digits. Post 60-second or less sermon clips on the new social media trinity. Okay, let's unpack this in reverse. First, social media trinity, the new social media trinity. Now, for a long time, I would have always said that the big 3 on social media are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are, and that's still true. They're still very predominant in just the landscape of the world, especially North America, and how we use the internet. These 3 are big players: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But I think there's a new social media trinity, especially when it comes to short form vertical video. And that's YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. So these three platforms in the past few years have all kind of converged to offer the same thing. It's, those vertical videos that you swipe through and you see the same meme over and over and you kind of either love it or hate it. Anyway, this is important to notice because these three platforms are maximizing distribution, and you can put the same content into all three. There's nuances, contextual differences, of course, but I think you should this year at least once post a 60-second or less sermon clip onto these platforms. Now, I say 60 seconds or less because that's the length that works on all three. Technically, TikTok lets you do 3-minute videos, but who watches a 3-minute TikTok video? Come on. So 60 seconds or less, vertical format. That's important for it to get picked up properly in all these platforms. Don't hold your phone this way, hold it this way. I know it's opposite of everything we always tell you in every other video about videos. Well, that's a mouthful and a mind bender, but you need to try this at least once. What I mean is a sermon clip, I think, is the way to go because you're already probably recording these. If you're not, we should add that to this list too. Record your sermons so you can publish them online, like the YouTube video you just made. But edit down a 60-second or less clip, just that one soundbite that really has some good energy to it. Where was it really humming? And just take that clip, and you're going to edit it so it's vertical. This might require a little, how to edit videos vertically, or find an app for your phone, or, talk to someone who does video editing for you in your world. We'll get into video editing in another video. But the goal for this year is that one of the things you try is posting a 60-second or less sermon clip video on this new social media trinity: YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok. Now, the reason is, like I said, all three of those platforms currently are maximizing distribution. Not always. Sometimes your video you post will get 12 views. Sometimes it'll get 12,000 views. I've literally had a video, I've done this many times, where I post the same video to all three platforms. And sometimes the Instagram Reel will get like 7,000 views in the first hour. I'm like, who's watching this? And how did this happen? And the other two platforms, nothing. Sometimes TikTok will get, thousands of views in less than a day. Sometimes YouTube Shorts pops way up. I don't know the science on why one does and the other doesn't, but the point is experiment, try things, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And you can make the same video posted in 3 places and have it distributed to people far beyond your normal congregation or online community. And you had to do just a little bit of work. So yeah, try this out. Post 60-second or less sermon clips on these 3 platforms. Just give it a try. Okay. Number 11, try Anchor for a free and easy way to start a podcast. Yeah, you should start a podcast this year in 2022. If you haven't done it yet, you definitely should. How do I start a podcast? I just told you right there. Anchor. There's a lot of ways to start a podcast. You need a podcast hosting space, where the content goes to be distributed and downloaded and listened to. But Anchor, I think, is probably still the easiest way to start a podcast. Anchor's a company that's been around for a while. They initially launched and marketed themselves as the easiest way to start a podcast, and I think it's still true. They were recently acquired by Spotify, who has really been doubling down in the podcast space. Spotify has been buying podcast studios. Maybe Gimlet Studios that makes some really great podcasts. But they bought Anchor, which is a podcast creating platform that anyone can use. And you can just use your phone to literally record yourself talking, push the button, and it's online. Or you can take audio you've recorded using, fancy mics and stuff, and you can upload that, post it online. All these things. It's easy to connect to all the distribution sites. It's for sure connected to Spotify because Spotify owns them now. You can connect it to Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Amazon Music and all the places people listen to podcasts. But it's really easy. You should just download the app for your phone. Go to, anchor.com? I don't know. Google Anchor Podcasts. You'll find it. Or click the link down in the description. But all this to say, you should start a podcast. And here's how, because it's super easy. You can even, with Anchor, call someone through the app, and that conversation gets recorded for your podcast. So interviewing people can be super easy. It's so simple. So yeah, start a podcast. Number 12. Host a weekly sermon prep event on Zoom or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok Live. Okay, no, we're going to bring this back to podcast in a second, but this is just an idea I think that is worth exploring. Now, you're probably writing a sermon most every week. Chances are you spend a lot of time by yourself prepping that sermon. For me, I like to go on long runs. That's where I write my sermons. But I think one great way to write your sermon is in community. And why not invite your congregation into that process? Give them a glimpse at how this, dish is prepared and let them potentially add their flavor to what you end up producing. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. You see my food metaphors? But I think a weekly sermon prep event, now it can be on Zoom, so it could be the kind of, everyone gets to see and talk, and it's kind of like, Bible study-ish kind of a thing. Or there's lots of ways you could design it. We have a weekly service at Riverside on Wednesday nights that involves just like a discussion around one of the scriptures for the upcoming Sunday. And then someone sings a song and then we pray. When I lead it, I tend to pick the scripture that I'm preaching on so I can have the whole group help crowdsource my sermon for me. But why not make that the thing? Invite people into the process so they can be kind of tuned a bit to prepare for themselves for the sermon that you're about to preach in a few days or whenever you preach it. But the point is, invite people into the process. If not Zoom, I say you could use Facebook Live or Instagram Live or TikTok Live, any of these platforms, whatever one is where you intentionally spend time investing in relationships. Remember we talked about that. Wherever you are spending time, use the live feature there. Facebook Live's probably where most of you are going to end up, and just talk about it. You're just on a video with your phone or device on Facebook Live, rambling to the internet about your upcoming sermon, but paying attention to the comments. When you're on one of these social media live platforms, you need to pay attention to the comments and engage people there. We'll do a whole video on that too sometime soon here. But the point of this is have some sort of weekly event on whatever platform you choose where you are just giving away what you're working on and you're inviting their feedback and participation. That I think has some potential to just be a unique experience for you as a preacher and for your congregation, and to broaden the way in which sermons come to life rather than being this isolated thing that you go away and magically be inspired. No, let people see how the inspiration happens. Let people be a part of what's going on. Some of my friends in Savannah, Georgia, they do this every Wednesday night on Facebook Live. They're a husband-wife co-pastor couple, and they both preach short homilies every Sunday. Typically, sometimes they have guests come in as well. And so they hold a, what do they call it? Toast. I know there's always beer involved, so it has something to do with toast. Anyway, they do this on Facebook Live. The two of them talk about what they're working on for the upcoming sermon, and people can listen in and they can leave comments, and it's a lot of fun. It's really a really great time. So you should try that. Number 13, publish the sermon prep audio as a podcast. What? We're back to podcasts. See, repurposing is a big theme that I think you'll pick up on here. You're already working on the sermon. Why not turn the sermon prep into a digital ministry experience? Well, why not turn that sermon prep thing into another version of the same thing so people could listen to it on their commute, while they're going for a walk, while they're making dinner, whatever kind of a thing. So you just need to record the audio. There's a couple ways to do this. If you're using Zoom, that's really easy. Record meeting, done. Download the audio, publish it. If you're using one of those other live platforms, it's a little more involved. You might need to set up a way to record yourself talking while you're talking, but I think you could figure that out too. We'll talk about recording audio on another video. But the point of this is to repurpose the thing in another digital ministry medium. Publish the sermon prep audio as a podcast. Don't let anything go to waste. You already spent time and energy creating this, so just give it a little tweak so it has a whole other life over here. Yeah, there you go. You're wondering, what should my podcast be? Here's a sermon prep podcast. That would be, not only for your congregation, but a gift to other preachers who are interested in learning and exploring and figuring out ideas for what they should preach. Yeah, you should do it. I listen to that. All right, number 14. Host a weekly sermon talkback on Zoom. Now, this is very similar to the sermon prep idea I just told you should try, but this one's on the other side. After the sermon is preached, at Riverside, we do this every Sunday. We have virtual coffee hour, and we have the preacher join us for anyone who's been worshiping online, and we kind of facilitate a conversation with the preacher about the sermon they just preached, and the congregants get to ask questions, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, especially when we have guest preachers, it's so great. Well, our regular in-house preachers are good too, but it's just really, really fun. And this is that idea of you just preach the sermon, you spend a lot of time preparing for it, thinking about it. Why should the conversation end there? So host a weekly sermon talkback. Now, I say to do it on Zoom specifically because this is the kind of thing where you want it to be conversational. Where I said the other one, it could live on these live platforms where it's you just monologuing and responding to questions as people type them in. Great. I think the sermon talkback, you want that live interaction. You want space for people to ask questions of the preacher, of how the process went, what was left on the cutting room floor. You need that give and take. So I think Zoom is the platform for that, or whatever video chat platform you use. But have a weekly sermon talkback. Maybe you do it on Sunday afternoon after worship. Maybe you do it on Monday, Tuesday. You get to pick. It's your context, whatever works for you. And just see what happens. This is a great idea. I mean, we do it. We've been doing it for 2 years, and it's been incredible. So I can confidently say this is a great idea. Most of my ideas I think are great, but this one I know is great. So, yeah, host a weekly sermon talkback on Zoom. All right. Number 15. 15, here we go. Publish the sermon talkback audio as a podcast. What? Did you see that coming? You probably did. You saw that one coming. You just did the thing. Now publish the audio so people who couldn't be there for the live conversation on Zoom can listen to it whenever they want, or can pick it back up. This is actually what we started doing in this past year, 2021, here at Riverside. We launched a new podcast. We call it After the Amen, because the amen of the sermon, and this is the talkback that happens after the sermon. You know what I mean? The point being that the sermon shouldn't just end after the amen, but it should live on blah, blah, blah. A sermon is a talk that starts talks. Yeah, you know that stuff. So publish the sermon talkback audio as a podcast. Simple. Another great way to make original podcast content for your congregation and your ever-expanding online community. Yeah. All right, number 16. Post sermon quotes on Twitter. Now, I once had a colleague who told me, Jim, I feel like I should be on Twitter, but I never know what to say. And I said to her, how many sermons do you preach a year? She goes, like 46. Well, I'm pretty sure each one of those sermons has at least 1 or 2 tweetable lines. She's like, oh, I never thought about using my sermons and just publishing pieces of it. Yeah, repurpose that stuff. Take what you're already doing and find ways to just contextualize it and make it available. You should just try this. It's simple stuff. So post those sermon quotes on Twitter. You can post them other places too, but Twitter is a great medium for that simple, short, text-based soundbite. Soundbite? It's not really a soundbite if it's text-based. Text bite? What's the word for that? I don't know. You know what I mean. Post your sermon quotes. Now, often at Riverside, I will tend to get the manuscript that the preacher's using if they're preaching from a manuscript, and then I just typically go through those and find what I think are good, tweetable moments, and I schedule them to post on Riverside's Twitter account. Simple. It's an easy way to have fresh content that reinforces what people experienced on Sunday, or if they weren't there on Sunday, it's like, oh, that's really interesting. Now you can get really fancy and link to like the sermon video in this and do all sorts of stuff, but the basic thing is there. Just post those sermon quotes on Twitter. All right, number 17. Post fewer links on social media. Yeah, that's right. You read that correctly. Post fewer links on social media. It's easy for us to treat social media like some sort of digital bulletin board where everything that's there is a notice that points you someplace else. Come to this event, do this thing, sign up for this, click this. Why not treat social media as the destination itself, not the bulletin board pointing somewhere else? What if we looked at the experience on social media as the thing we're trying to engage and experience and facilitate? Now that's why I say post fewer links, because a link in and of itself takes me off the platform and somewhere else. Now, sometimes you'll need to do this, pointing people towards your website, your upcoming event, your worship service video, whatever kind of a thing you're trying to direct people to. But don't just use social media as a big bulletin board to get their attention over there. use social media as a listening platform, a space to engage where people are on those spaces. Don't try to take them someplace else. Try to be with them where they are. So think about how you're using the platform. And one simple way to do this is to post fewer links. Yeah, cool, right? All right. Number 18. Ask more questions on social media. See, I got a little combo on social media here. Post fewer links. Ask more questions. Now, this, if you want to ask yourself, how do I make my social media content more engaging? I often say, look at the punctuation. Do your posts end with a period or a question mark? And heaven forbid they end with a link. We know that links are, they can be engaging, but it's a different type of engagement. But if your posts end with a question mark, you by nature are inviting questions and conversation, and your posture is different. Now, sometimes you'll put those periods in there. You'll post those sermon quotes and all that kind of stuff, and that's more of a declaration, which is good. But can you also be intentional about asking more questions? So your posture is one of listening in that process of engagement. And then be sure to respond to people. Oh, that's actually my next one, I think. Is it? Let's see. Number 19. Aha! Schedule time to respond and engage on social media. Yes. Don't just post stuff and forget about it. Don't just schedule it and then quit. You have to make sure there's time where you are going in to invest in those relationships, because it's not about the content, it's about the relationships. All of these social media platforms, all of these online anythings are about people connecting with people. It's about a person's formative experience, and the relationship you have with them, even when it's mitigated through some sort of a device, is still a real relationship. And so you need to make sure there's time to engage and respond to people on social media. So you check those notifications, you respond to them, you kind of dive into the conversation. The point being, you got to schedule time for this. So in 2022, make sure you do this. All right, we're in the home stretch. Number 20, here it is. Join some Facebook groups. Oh, okay. I'll come back again so you can see the ones I listed there. But Facebook groups, as much as you might hate Facebook for all sorts of reasons, or you love Facebook, that's cool too. I kind of hate Facebook. Facebook groups are really robust, or have the potential to be. This is where you can connect with people from all over the place with different contexts and backgrounds who share ideas that can be so useful. So here's a few that I would recommend for this sort of digital ministry world and work. Progressive Christian YouTube, that's a great one. Sammy Kelly, who we had on a few months ago, she talked about digivangelism. She actually started that Facebook group. Digital Ministry Hive Mind, that one was started by some progressive clergy on TikTok. Bethany Peerbolt, who we also talked to a few weeks ago. Church Communications, this one is big. It's really big. It's a very popular Facebook group, mostly by kind of, evangelical-ish churches, but there's a handful of progressive and mainline folk on there too, but it's really good information and ideas, so definitely check out Church Communications. Sermon Prep is a space for sermon prep. That one was started by yours truly years and years ago, and it still continues to be a really robust place for sermon prep. And Zoom Faith is a fantastic one, focused specifically on Zoom. That one was started by Bruce Reyes-Chow, who we talked to just recently. These are just a few I would totally recommend. There's probably more, but the point being, join some Facebook groups so you're not stuck kind of swimming in these waters alone. You can realize there are so many of us swimming together, learning together, sharing ideas together. So check some of these out. All right, number 21. Recruit and organize a digital ministry team from your congregation. Yeah, I just said these Facebook groups help you realize you're not swimming alone. Well, you don't have to do it alone on the ground either. You can build support, organize a group who is interested in thinking through how to try this digital ministry stuff out and see what happens. It might not materialize overnight. I like to think that people often say, the concept of digital greeters, for your online service. Well, how do I find these people? It takes time. Once upon a time, you had no in-person greeters either. That was a new concept. You had to recruit for that volunteer position. Once upon a time, you didn't have Sunday school teachers. Maybe you still don't have Sunday school teachers. The point being, all of these things from our kind of the way we've always done church, we had to build a culture around them. The same is true in these digital ministry spaces. So I think this is a good year to be intentional about recruiting and organizing a digital ministry team from your congregation. So it's not all you. It can't all be you. If this digital ministry idea is going to have legs beyond your lifespan, it needs to be carried by so many other people. That just makes sense, right? I think so. This is also my biggest goal for this year, is to recruit and organize a digital ministry team from my congregation, because I realize sometimes way too much sits on my shoulders. So, yeah. All right, number 22, the grand finale. Here it is. Let other people try things, even if they don't do it the way you would. Now, I don't mean they should just go completely off-brand and they should just be doing whatever, There should be some parameters for how and why you're using these things, but let go of some of that white-knuckled control you might have. It's okay if things are a little bit different or if they need to have a process in really learning the thing itself. Let them try it. Recently at Riverside, we're talking with a congregant who's looking at developing a podcast, back to podcasts, about our church's anti-racism work. And it's going to be looking at the history of our church's anti-racism work and the current work we're doing. Great concept. And he's going to be like interviewing congregants and other people, and I don't exactly know who. He's still working out the concept. But he's going to produce it. He's going to be the host instead of me. I will be kind of an executive producer on the side, making sure he has the support he needs. But I'm gonna let him try it, even if it's not the way that I would do it, because I know that inviting people into the process is itself sometimes the most important part, because relationships are more important than content, remember? And even the relationships you build with your co-conspirators and your collaborators is important. So let them try things, even if they don't do it the way that you would. Hey, who knows? Maybe you'll actually learn something from the way that they do it, and that'll impact how everyone in your space does it. So, yeah. Okay, there you go. 22 digital ministry ideas to try in 2022. Down below in the video description, you'll see a list of all of them. The things I just said, you probably already saw that, didn't you? You scrolled down early, didn't you? Yep, I knew it. But leave a comment with any of those ideas that you would like to have a little more, explanation on. Like, how do I actually do that? I can dive into that in another video. But also leave a comment with which ones you're going to do. Which ones are you planning on trying out? I hope it's all of them. Or if you're really feeling ambitious in your comment, which is now turning into a long essay, let us know which ones you're already doing. And then part 4 of your essay is, what are the ideas I missed? Okay, you have a lot of homework. So what do you want more help with? Which ideas are you planning on doing? Which ideas are you already doing? What are other ideas that we should all be doing? Okay, we got some work to do. We'll make a video about boundaries and Sabbath and rest maybe in a few weeks, because 22 things is a lot. Now, don't do them all at once. You got a whole year. All right, I'll be back again next week with more stuff like this. And till then, I'll see you online.